All right, all right. What a Saturday, a beautiful weekend. This is Saturday, the Memorial Day weekend. And I know it is a time for us to reflect on many things that have occurred in our lives. Memorial weekend in the United States is a big day. You know why? Because you take off from work, you spend time with your family and loved ones and friends, and do a lot of other things. And so this weekend, we'd like to say welcome. This is the Gracious Hope Live podcast. My name is Alexander Red of the Gracious Hope Bible Fellowship. And I'm along here with our usual co-host, Reverend Suah S. Deddeh. And today, this weekend, there's a whole lot we have to cover here. And we will be looking at the dilemma of our culture and faith. Where do we find the dilemma? Well, this is reflected in the balancing act of faith and culture when both collide and when we reflect on the current trend of family life, our country, and the indelible footprint of historical happiness in our country. So, the pitfalls, the challenges, and positive indicators we look at will help preserve and promote the ideals of patriotism, that is love for country, our family life, as well as our entire well-being of our country. And so today in our studios, we have a special guest, the former president of the Press Union of Liberia. He has been very, very assiduous in many other initiatives, community organizations. He helps navigate the ways and means in which we can come together as a community. Even in our country, Liberia, as president of the Press Union of Liberia, he spoke eloquently about everything that went against the press, the members of the press, and he collaborated with the government to have press freedom. So we call him freedom fighter because the generations before have seen his work, and he has a whole lot to say here about our country, how we progress morally, and also things that we need to avoid to regress because we want to progress as a nation and enjoy our homeland. And so on this day, we have a whole lot here to cover. Mr. Abraham G. Massaley will be here to give us insight about how he sees Liberia now and the way forward. And remember, this is the Gracious Hope Live podcast, and the program is all about contemporary issues that affect the Christian life of faith. We tend to keep or preserve and promote our Christian heritage. I'm so glad right now to bring the co-host of this program, Reverend Suah S. Deddeh. Reverend Deddeh, we are back on the block, may I say.
Indeed, not on the block, because the block sometimes you can slip on the block and fall. We are on solid ground. So I'm glad
Yeah.
to be back today because we stand on Jesus Christ, the solid rock. On him we stand in all our ups and downs. But I'm blessed to be back today. This is the day that the Lord has made. I am rejoicing in it, and I'm sure you are also rejoicing in it. I'm glad you're talking about Memorial Day. This is the day on which Americans remember their loved ones who are in the armed forces who died during the various civil war, the various wars in America found herself in. But the whole thing started with Americans remembering people who died during the Civil War. Eventually, it was Memorial Day. Decoration Day. Now it's called Memorial Day. It's good to always remember those who lay their lives down for others to live and have freedom. And that's what America is all about. So again, I want to welcome you too to this important program today, brother.
Yes, yes, indeed. I'm so fired up to be here as always because this contemporary issues or contemporary issues that we talked about on this program, they are all significant to the growth of our country when it comes to our Christian heritage and principles. And the good news is that in our Christian community, progress is being made where there's a new elect president of the Liberia Council of Churches, the Reverend Dr. Samuel B. Reeves. And we'd like to say congratulations to him. He has been elected as the president of the Liberia Council of Churches, and he has immense responsibilities because he's also the president of the Liberia Education and Seminary or Missionary and Seminary Program, if I'm not mistaken, if I got the name right.
The
It's
Liberal
LI.
Baptist Missionary Seminary. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yes, he's also the president and then senior pastor at the Providence Baptist Church in Liberia, where the Declaration of Independence was signed. So he is toting a lot of historical responsibilities on his shoulders, Reverend Dede.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Like I said earlier before we came on the program when we talked today, I'm praying that he's able to move between these three positions because they are all demanding positions he's occupying right now. But I
Yeah.
also know that with God, all things are possible, and the God who has brought him thus far will lead him all through this journey. Because I tell you, Alex, if God had not prepared him for this time, he might not have been able to come to this time doing all what he's doing today. So we're going to keep in our prayers that God will lead him, that God will strengthen him, that God will give him the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding he needs to lead God's people. You and I know it is not easy to lead God's people in the church. Right in the church, there are issues and problems and situations. So, if anybody who is leading the church of God, the people of God, you have to be prayerful, you have to be committed, and most of all, you got to be courageous. So, we pray that God will give him the ability to do what he's about to do.
Indeed, committed, and also being committed is also meaning you have to be strategic in everything you do because you're dealing with a lot of people with
Yeah,
various interests. And the thing is that I remember one pastor saying, a lot of people sometimes they don't like me because you can't please everybody. You can't please
impossible.
everybody as a
No,
pastor
you can't.
because if you tend to please everybody, then you are not doing your job. And besides that, the clue is from God Himself. God does not please everybody because if God were to please everybody, then He would not be his true character of being a God. You know why? Because I want for my team to win today. Oh, God, help me. My team to win today. Then the other person is praying, defeat his team. Then the other person is praying for somebody else. But you see, God cannot satisfy everybody. Your team may lose. But again, that's a God is God. So we are so glad to see our big brother taking the helm of authority. And hopefully, we pray that God will give him the unction that is already upon him to enhance his outlook of the Christian faith and preserve and promote our heritage. And so we are so glad, Reverend Dr. Reeves. Congratulations once again. God's blessings. And we hope to see you pretty soon, the middle part of June, as we spoke this morning over the phone, so you can talk to us about the pillars that you laid out as president of the missionary. That is the other, it's a LI. Help me here, Reverend Dede.
Liberal
LI.
Baptist Missionary Educational Convention. That's what. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
We'll be talking about your progress in that and also your agenda for the Liberia Council of Churches as you take position pretty soon. Yes, so if you're just joining us, this is the Gracious Hope live podcast on KMTV. KMTV, we are the best from the West. If you put it to the test, we'll be the rest. Why? Because we bring you education, entertainment, cultural issues, social issues, political issues, and of course, the Christian faith program that you are listening to right now. We are so glad. And please share this link with your friends, your relatives, as well as your loved ones, and so they can hear or be part of this program as well. Make sure that you opine, okay? Make your comments because we'll be talking about Liberian dilemma of faith and culture. When the two collide or when they are unbalanced, then there's a problem. And we can name a whole list of problems in our country. But again, we don't focus on the problem. We focus on the guy who is bigger than the problem. And we know that our country will make it through. Therefore, we are so glad to have our special guest here today, the former president of the Press Union of Liberia, Mr. Abraham G. Massaley, will be coming up shortly. But just quickly here, the Memorial Day weekend in the U.S., a lot of people travel and they want to spend time paying homage to those who lost their lives in sacrifice for freedom. And so this weekend is a special day. So then we'll put a question over to you. This Memorial Day weekend, what makes Memorial Day weekend special to you? Okay, and you can give your comments whether you are in another country. If you observe Memorial Day to remember those who help you along the way, someone who is near and dear to your heart. You can also make a comment too. Let us know what makes Memorial Day weekend special to you. All right. And without much ado, let us bring in our own friend. here, Reverend Deddeh. He is no stranger to you. You work with him at the Press Union of Liberia, so you know more about him.
But I
And
want to say something about him before he comes on.
okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
but because you see, you don't have such an opportunity as this one, and this is somebody who I've come to respect for a long, long time. We work together. Even before we work together, he's a friend, man. He believes in what he believes in, and he stands for what he believes in, no matter who disagrees or agrees. That's what I've come to know. When I went to the Press Union, I was just a member on the membership committee, and he was assistant secretary general. But I watched his style. He was calm, cool, but collected. He didn't. He knew what he was doing. You might think he's not paying attention, but he is paying attention. And so this is the man. And then eventually he became my president when I became secretary general. And let me tell you this, Alex. I want to be honest on this air. When I first contested the position of assistant secretary general, he beat me. I mean, he beat me hands down. Well, there was no question about that. Yeah, so I said, wow, this guy is tough, man. I was just getting ready to get involved in the press union. But again, Abraham Massaley is somebody who you can trust, you can depend on. That's why the leadership of president at that time, we had a strong steward who not just advocated, but was serious in what he was talking about. And then when I became the secretary general and I left for him, when he left, I quickly went into the position, and you know the whole story from secretary general, the president, or taking his position. But AB, I'm glad he's on the speaking today. You don't be surprised, Alex, and those who are watching. He will express himself. He will speak from his heart, and he means what he says. But he loves the country. There are many times, at least people, when you speak about the country, people call you the diaspora or advocate. You want to destroy the country. It's not that. People love the country. So they have to speak out and speak up because we don't want our country to go back into bloodshed that we experienced before. You just talk about that, what's happening in culture and Christianity. It's a clash, but there's not a clash. So I'm glad to have my brother and friend and my former leader on this program today. I'm excited to hear from him. So bring him on. Let's hear what he has to say.
Yeah, let's bring him on. And he's a man who speaks with conviction, and he endeavors in all that he does. And so he earns the character and the respect, not just within the press corps, but also at the University of Liberia, where
Yes.
he was a student leader. So there's a whole lot we can say about Mr. Masali. But we are so happy here that he will be discussing issues that affect our country and to see a way forward. And therefore, we are so happy or with pleasure to bring on um, Mr. Masali here. There you go. Welcome to Gracious Hope Live Podcast, Mr. Masali.
Thank you so much, my friend and brother Alex and Reverend Deddeh. Also, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yes, yes. We are glad to meet you again, and this time on a whole different platform, um, uh, besides the journalism platform. Mr. Masale, you have lived long enough, okay? You're a family man, very respectful, and you have lived long enough with positions you've held in the arena of the press corps and other community initiatives, including the university. You have seen politics, you have seen social issues, you have given or known about some cultural issues that we are going to, and you make frequent travel to our country. Now, look at our country right now and where we are going. Look at our culture and look at who we are as a people. What is your take so far? If someone to ask you.
Well, I just think that our country is really sliding in the wrong direction, unfortunately. And like we said earlier, before I came on, I mean, you can't really blame a particular individual or a group of people, but this has just been a problem that has evolved over the years and to the point where it has become completely endemic in the country. You know, people have lost complete hope in the country. The country has no vision. You know, um, I mean, the entire country. It's just not the government. It's corrupt. The towns, the clans, the chiefdoms. You know, the leadership. The I mean the individual citizens, the family. It's a serious problem. So when people say, like, when I was growing up, I used to hear the government is corrupt, but now it's a country that is really corrupt. That's a serious problem. We have lost our culture, we have lost our value, we have lost pretty much just everything that will make us a country that is progressive, that will move into the right direction. When I was chatting with you guys over the weekend, I was telling you, like, back in the day, we had people that we look up to. You know, we had, like, even in the religious circle, we had Bishop Michael Francis, that some of us aspire and respected. Bishop Brown. In the political arena, we have people that we cherish, we admire, we appreciate. They may not have been infallible, they may have their own misgivings here and there, but by and large, we look to them for leadership, for vision. But unfortunately, in our country, it's just hard to say, hey, this guy is somebody that I can aspire to, or this is somebody I wish to be one of them one of these days when I grow. It's so hard. There are very few Liberians in our country today that you can really point to say, this guy is moving in the right direction. I'm not just talking about the government. I'm not talking about Morovia. I'm just talking about the entire country. Because most times I go Liberia, I go to the countryside, I interact with my people, I go to my village, I go to my towns, I go to my county, I go to other counties, and it's not really well of our country. We have lost our value. Integrity is no longer in our country. It's not just in the government, but in the entire country. Trust is a serious problem. You don't trust nobody there. Like, one experience I had last year, I was tapping this community where people had gone to put some crush rock because it was muddy, the road was so muddy. And as soon as I put the crush rock, when the guys left, in no time, people came with their buckets to take the crush rock. I was shocked. You know, that was for the benefit of the community, to help the community, and nobody in the community could say, "Don't do this. This is wrong." It was just business as usual. I was really, really, you know. So for me, I don't blame. I
Mhm.
don't blame, those in leadership. I just think that this is a serious endemic problem that is affecting the entire country. If you go to the village, you pretty much get the same problem you're going to have in the city. If you go to towns, you pretty much going to see the same problems that you're going to have in the city. So our problem is a serious, serious problem.
Serious problem. And when it's lack of trust, as you said, and when it is lack of trust, there is also lack of integrity and there is lack of truth. So if we look at all of those things that we are lack of, okay, we know that only one person can provide that, and that is God, right? Which is the
Mhm.
righteous standard of everyone. Based on your own Christian faith and your conviction as a leader, you have the ingredients, or you know the ingredients of leadership and what it means to lead people and put people in the right direction. Do you think the problem rests on family disintegration, or do you think the problem rests on leaders that are in positions or in various capacity? It could be a church, or it could be also the government, or any other functionary organization within a country. Where do you think this problem is
I think
existing?
pretty much it's the family. The family has completely disintegrated. So because a society is built upon the stronghold of a family, from the family comes the clan, and from the clan comes a government. you know. But where the family has disintegrated, like from all the years, maybe the last 30 to 40 years, to the extent where, nobody really regard anybody this time in Liberia, it's so difficult. It's so difficult. So I would just say it's a family. We really need to restore that family value. You
And how
know,
do we do that? How do we do it?
well, it's a complex challenge, but it's something that I think that is doable. You know, like you said from the beginning of the program, Liberia was founded on Christian principle. The Declaration of Independence was signed in our church, the Providence Baptist Church. You know, so all these are intertwined, all these are connected, and this connectivity are those things that have really kind of a disintegrated. And those are things that we need to gradually build back. And I appreciate your program. Hopefully this will help, inspire people to say, hey, we are really moving in the wrong direction. We need to begin to build on family values first. When we build our families, hopefully we'll be able to build our towns, because a family is made of the town is made of families. So gradually we can begin to build these values for our people. Like one story I will tell you, when I was in Liberia last year, a couple of times I sent kids, my own family members, to purchase things for me, and whenever they came back, if I get them 20, they will buy things that are less than the value that they brought. And when I was growing up, if my father or my older person or some person adult send me, when I come back, I will bring the change to them. They will either say, take the change. But if you're fortunate in Liberia, if you go to Liberia nowadays, you send a kid somewhere to buy something for you. If you are fortunate, they may buy it for you. But in most instances, they may not even buy it. Even if they bought what you ask them to do, it may not be parallel to the value that they're supposed to buy. And they will not even give you the change if you don't ask. So the connection between, for example, the kids and the parents, like I had a story in Liberia, I think I shared a story where I really felt that the mother was brainwashing my nephew to become a criminal, by the conduct of the mother. And they blame it on the hardship. To me, it's not a hardship. It's just a matter of integrity. It's just a matter of dignity. It's a matter of self-pride that has completely been eroded, So we need to restore these, because there is no way you're going to have a perfect government, or you're going to have a government that is not corrupt when the whole society is corrupt. The government are the people.
Indeed. And this is the scary part about the whole thing, because when we were brought up, Alex, you, myself, and others, our parents enforced discipline in the home, and enforced love for country as well. But we look at ourselves over the years, the 14-year Civil War, and then the previous wars, we see our children being given birth in calamities where they grew up in a system, nothing good, and things like that. We have this unfortunate youth today. We call them Zokos. I hate to call them Zoko. So the fearful thing is, if the society, as you just described, if the young people who should be in leadership tomorrow are so corrupt as they are now, is there a future for the future government of Liberia, of the future system governance in Liberia? Is there in the future, looking at our young people who are now being exposed to this serious crime and dishonest state society, AB?
It's a serious problem. It's really indeed a serious problem. So I just think one major thing that we can do as a people is to restore hope in our people. How are we going to do that? Well, it's a collective challenge that we all have to face. But you have a country today where people are just living as survivors. They are not living to live lives. There is no vision. There's no hope. There is no tomorrow. It's all about what can I find to eat today and just survive today. So pretty much our people are not living. They are only surviving in the country, and that's so terrible. That is just so terrible. Where people live, where people are not living, but instead they are just surviving. And because they are surviving, when I talk about survival, you know what I'm talking about. During the wartime, or in Liberia, we were just surviving. But at least when we were surviving, we were hopeful of the future, that the war will end, that our country will come back to normal. But that has completely vanished. People are just surviving, perpetually in Liberia now. There is no hope. There's no future. There's no vision. So that's a serious problem.
So you think AB hope is completely lost
I really believe our problem is hope. Because if you have hope, you sacrifice. If you have hope, you make the efforts to make it better. Because like me, I said here today, if I didn't have hope, I wouldn't even go Morovia. Because I was very young when my father died. But I was determined to learn no matter what. And the barriers of poverty because I had hope and vision that I could be a better person. And I did that because people told me you can be that. And, you know? So I was inspired that despite my challenges, my obstacles, my problems, at that moment, I could rise above that because people told me that. And I saw people doing that. But now we don't have those kind of people. So hope, hope, hope to me is what we need now. We really need to inspire hope in our people that there is a better tomorrow, that there is a better future, that there is a better Liberia. If we can do that, then hopefully we can begin to lay the very foundations that have completely broken down. But there's no hope in the country.
You think the government, you think the government can inspire hope in the people besides God? Because God is the one who deals with this situation and encourages us to move ahead. But you think government has a role in inspiring hope in the people?
Obviously, obviously, just imagine if George Washington had not inspired hope in laying the foundation of the great United States, where the United States would be today. You know, people would even prefer to have a monarchy here. But the likes of George Washington said, no, this is a new vision that we have. This is a new experiment that we want to carry on. You know, so if you have hope, you can do a whole lot of things. You can sacrifice. Like I watched a movie the other day about Armstrong. Can you imagine somebody going to the moon? Can you imagine that? Where nobody had ever ventured? So they were inspired to do these things. But we don't have that inspiration in our country. And we are not even making the effort. So I really believe the government has a major role to play, a serious role to play. You know,
Yes,
and
yes,
I'm not blaming this government. I'm not blaming this government. It just blame a succession of problems that have accumulated to where we are today. You know, it started from, I would say, from the TWP, it went to the PRC, then it went to the Civil War, the leaders of the Civil War. Then when the Civil War ended, we had somebody who came to power. People are hopeful that, oh yeah, we get a new Liberia, we're going to progress. Then the problem became pandemic. So the people have just lost it. Period.
yes, inspiration and hope. And
Uh,
it was one of our programs or platforms that we invited Justice Musu Scott. She said almost identically what you said here regarding someone who can step up as a leader, someone who can inspire hope in people, someone who can uh, allow our history to bear witness to who we are as a people. And according to you, I mean, other people saw the motivation, they saw the talent and skills in you that inspire you onward to where you are today. And we need a new generation to be inspired as well. Because if we don't inspire them first by letting them know that God created them with a meaningful endeavor in this life, then they have no hope. And they can only have hope if they know how they got here and who created them and why they are here on earth. And that of course is a reversal of what we see in our country today when it comes to our public funded schools. The Bible is yanked out of the classrooms, the curriculum is changed, they teach the kids math, science, physics, and everything else except for religious studies or for the Bible. Why? Because secularists now have the opportunity to export uh, their own ideological or philosophical way of looking at it from man's point of view, from man's wisdom, and not God's wisdom. So then we are looking at all of the things that are lack of in our country, for example, from the issue of for the virtue of integrity, honesty, truth. All of these virtues are all derived from God, where we find our absolute righteous standard as a nation. And we know that righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to a people. And I say so because the American ambassador, Ambassador McCarthy, says publicly that the reason why Liberia is regressing and not progressing is because of corruption. And corruption starts from in the heart. And so then we see our country growing up the enabling environment is not being provided, which of course can snowball into all the things that we are experiencing today. No inspiration, and the people are selfish and jealous and self-seeking ambition. They all get in the way, pride get in the way, and then we have a country where just only the few are taking advantage of the resources and other things that we should be able to share, with the entire populace. And so I hear you right there, and that's the issue right there. But again, if we believe that our country was founded based on those values and principles that are universally accepted, like for example the universal law, thou shalt not steal, kill, love your neighbor, and all of that Jesus talked about. If we can practice those things, in our community and society at large, and even in the public square, yeah, we'll see our country flourishing or blossoming. But they are
And,
lacking.
and I agree. I think our country, unfortunately for us, is a chieftaincy country where we basically follow the leader. That's a good thing about Liberia. So to me, to really change that country around, it's not a difficult thing. It's not like the developed world like the United States or Europe. Our country is a chieftaincy country. When you have a chief or you have a leader who inspires people, pretty much you begin to transform them. You know, but where's the example? That's a big question. Like when I was became president of the Press Union of Liberia, one of my aunts called me, this is your time. You got to do something. So I saw, what do I do? You got to build a house. I said, do you know what president is for? Do you know the president ability? The income of the union? You know, but that's the mentality of our people that once you get in power, think about yourself, enrich yourself, and do what you gotta do. You know, so it's a challenge that we have, but I think it's doable. Though it's really doable. Once like my interactions with Liberia, and look, once in Liberia last year, I had a guy to do me a piece of job. I gave him the money. He was running away from me. So what I did, I knew he gonna I don't want to call marks or charge before people get offended. And I went there. After he prayed, he came outside. I said, hey, where are you been? Oh, I'm sorry. I said, yeah, I'm sorry. I said, you pray 17 times a day, then you stealing from me? And I said it right in the crowd with his fellow followers. And they look behind. I said, I'm talking to this guy. He just from praying with you guys. Well, you talk about money for almost 2 weeks now. I've been looking for I can find him. And he was so embarrassed. So we just have to create awareness among people that this is not you. You are better than this. And this is where programs like this and other programs that will create awareness among the people, to me, will be very helpful, because we just need to change the mindset of our people. Like I took the car to the garage. The car that I was using like Bureau last year. The kids were there. Their apprentices were all kids. So I asked the guy, I said, but why you have these little kids? I apprentices. He told me, he said, let me tell you this. The adults, the older guys, if you bring them here, they steal everything from the car and sell it. So they steal everything from the car. He said, that almost broke my business down, because they will steal everything, down to if you are not careful the engine. So everybody just want to grab and go. So that's what I have the little kids here for. But I told him, I said that was wrong, because the little kids need to go to school.
Yeah.
They need to go to school. So we just got to create a lot of awareness among our people that we are better than this.
Indeed, indeed, and that brings me to the word of God in Psalm 119, verse 33. We have to pray that God orders our steps, especially being a Christian nation, even though it's not declared publicly, but we know we are founded on Christian principles. But when God directs our steps, we are able to see sin and flee from sin. But until that time comes, it has to be the collective effort by government, by everyone else. You talk about the chieftaincy, and I talk about the power of the presidency. Now, it has its ups and downs. If the chieftaincy if the chieftaincy has integrity, the people will follow that. If the power of the presidency has integrity, the people will follow that. But if it is the opposite, the people also see that and want to emulate the chiefs or the power of the presidency. And so it's a cast down situation from the top to the bottom, and it destroys the fabric of the society. So the only source we have, the only strength we have is to fall back on God's word. But looking and hearing your story right now, somebody that's in the church, he takes your money and he runs away. So what example is the church giving? So it's the dangerous situation for ourselves in right now. I don't know why Eddie's take is on that, but if the church cannot stand at the place of integrity, if the church cannot stand,
and let me just add that too. So I have the neighbor who I was in, and young lady came from one of the revivals with some church ID. So I said, "What you got on there?" I said, "That's my church ID." I said, "Why you gotta wear ID to church?" So, "Oh, we had to pay for it, $1,000 each." I said, "Really?" He said, "If you don't wear it, you feel so embarrassed when you go to church."
So it's a form of ID that you must buy from
church. Yes, generating funding. That's one way to generate funds. And if you're a member of the church, according to her, if you don't wear it, you are like a liar. You're isolated. You're like a rebel. So you are constrained to buy $1,000. That's why for me, don't just blame the government. It's a whole societal problem that we have. The churches got to play their part, the mosques got to play their part, and most importantly, the family. But again, if you cannot feed your child, how are you going to discipline that child?
That's a good question, and that's a serious question.
That's a good question, and that is the segue here on the program. If you are just joining us, this is the Gracious Hope Live podcast on KMTV. KMTV, we are everywhere, and we are so glad that you are here with us this weekend. And it's Memorial Weekend in the United States, and we used this weekend. The holiday itself is on Monday, the 30th, to commemorate those who have fallen, the loved ones, and those who have made sacrifice for freedom of the United States, for the United States. And so if you are on your way traveling or wherever you are going, it is our prayer that you arrive safely with your family and wherever you are going. We also would say, make a comment. How do you feel about the weekend and what are you reflecting on? Because it is a moment of reflection. And that reflection, of course, harkens back to some of the memorable things that or experience that we had with people we have lost. And therefore, make a comment and also talk about some of the issues that are going on, cultural issues that you see that are so germane to the growth of our country or to the regression of our country, because we find answers in what we talk about and what we want to know. Because if we look at other countries in our, let's say, in our immediate vicinity or neighborhood like Sierra Leone or Ivory Coast, that have been through wars, they are progressing on certain level, even though we are not of the same character as a country based on our culture and our beginning when it comes to our independence. But again, we can see how truth in the hearts of people are working. For example, Ghana, you see the road network, the education system, a lot of other things that we can see that are missing in our country for our citizenry. And so then we use this platform to discuss these issues because they are so important for the young generation to understand where do we gain our inspiration, as well as understanding what it means to live as a family, a building block of the society, and how do we see ourselves as a nation to build a good character. So these are things that we discuss here. We'll be right back with our guest, Mr. Abraham G. Massaley, former president of the Press Union of Liberia, and he is giving his insight on how he understands things nowadays in Liberia. Please don't go away. We'll be right back. All right, so we are back here with our special guest, Mr. Abraham G. Massaley, and he has been giving some insights about his experience. He frequently visits Liberia, and it's our country, our homeland, and so we are all making comments or making commentary here based on the love for our country. We are nowhere putting our country down in any way. We all need hope. We all should inspire each other, and that's why we are discussing on this platform. So, Mr. Masaleh, looking at our whole society, people talk about corruption, government leadership, and all of that, but they tend to forget that individuals have personal responsibility as well. We all should pay allegiance to our country. We say in our motto, which of course is we pay allegiance to the flag of Liberia, and then the rest goes on. And we do so in order for us to be reassured that we have a sovereign nation that is governed by leaders, and individually we have responsibility as well. So if the government does not provide the enabling environment like work or the economic condition for people, you as a person, should you always look up to the government, or should you pretty much see how you can find ways and means to display or demonstrate your skills and abilities that God has given you? And this is where some people get stuck emotionally because the environment is not there. So if you find a young man right now listening to you, Mr. Masali, say, I have all the talents and the strength and the energy, but the resources are not available. And so, how do I live my life, and how do I move forward to be a good citizen?
But to me, the government is a catalyst for development, but that's just one aspect of it. I mean, you stress on individual responsibility, like this country. We have civil duties to ourselves, to our country, but we don't realize that. Like, for example, in Liberia, anything that belongs to government, they call it government boom, right?
Mhm.
Nobody respects it. Anything that belongs to the government, nobody respects it as long as it is the government is just collectively owned and it can be destroyed like that. But remember, we have an individual responsibility as citizens of that country to make sure that what is belongs to the government is properly maintained, properly taken care of, the government is properly protected. But we don't have that ability to comprehend that. I mean, maybe some, but the majority of the people in the country. So, like I said from the very beginning, the mindset is completely eroded. You know, Nobody cares about, you know, even the LEC. You have. I mean, all the hydro they constructed, the you pay the bill the billing system they created, which is really good. You know, how you
Mhm.
consume electricity in Liberia. People don't pay. You know, so the individual responsibility is not there. Absolutely, it's not there. You know, we just look to the government. We look to the government for everything. Well, we fail to realize that we are the government. The government is instituted for our well-being, and we have to make go to school. I really admire them. I went to one shop, the boy was telling me he works in the day, like around 1 o'clock, then he leaves and go to school like around 2 o'clock, and he leaves from there like around like 7, 8 o'clock. Then he comes, then he does a security job in the night because he said he and his brother live together. So he's a breadwinner for his mother. And how old is he? About 16 years old. And I really admire him for that. You know, so unfortunately, people go to school, they go to high school, they go to graduate college, no job, you know, because right now, I think the government of Liberia is the highest employer of employer in the country, you know. So we just need to do what we can as Liberians, especially those of us who find ourselves in the diaspora, to see what we can create these opportunities for our people. It's a
Mhm.
challenge, though. It's really a challenge because our people resist you. And like I said, the corruption is so endemic in our country that if you were to establish a business in Liberia and you in the United States, it could be your sister, it could be your brother, they see it as an opportunity to exploit you. But notwithstanding, I just believe that we have a solemn responsibility to our country because nobody's going to develop Liberia besides us. God has given that piece of land to us. Whether we find ourselves in the United States, we find ourselves in Ghana, or wherever we find ourselves. Like somebody was telling me from Gambia the other day. If you go to Gambia today, tourism is booming there. And most of the infrastructure that is in Gambia is done by diaspora Gambians.
Hmm.
So we just have to take the leadership, the leap of faith, and begin to do something as Liberians, especially those who are privileged to be in this country. Do something in your town, do something in your clan. It may not be a big project, but do something so the people can begin to see that there's a little difference. The first time I went to my town, it was a lot of resentment that I faced.
Mm-hmm.
To the extent where my cousin look at me and say, I don't blame you. In fact, you're not American, you're not Liberian any longer. You saw your boyfriend. I said, what you mean? You say you saw your boyfriend from McDonald's. I said, you don't want to call McDonald's in the United States? I said, nobody will say that boyfriend from McDonald's because McDonald's is a cheap food.
Mm-hmm.
But over time, he has got to respect me. I'm not doing a whole lot there, but the little I'm doing, they are beginning to see that, hey, this guy means well. So
Mm-hmm.
we, diaspora Liberians, we have to begin to look. When I was president for the Cape Mount Association, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I said we're going to build a bridge in Cape Mount, nobody believed me. Even the United Nations, they didn't believe me.
Hmm.
They did an assessment. The bridge cost was $500,000. I'm talking about 2006, 2005. Nobody believed that we could build a bridge. So even the UN agency in Liberia, they say, oh no, we want to do quick impact projects. We don't do this kind of projects. But guess what? We'll build a bridge. We build a bridge. The National Association of Cape Martinians in America built a bridge.
Yeah.
So we can, and how we did it, we decided that, hey, we're going to provide the materials, our people will provide the labor. We were able to send one of our representatives down there with videos. They were able to inspire our people. So all the adjacent towns came like every day to do their part of the work.
Mm-hmm.
And that saved us like almost half of the cost of the bridge. So we just bought the materials. And at the end of the day, up to now, the bridge is still there, one of the best bridges in Cape Mount. So there are a whole lot we can do. Instead of just criticizing individuals, criticizing governments, but if we can individually, as diaspora Liberians, begin to play our parts,
Yeah.
eventually, it's not going to happen overnight, but eventually people will begin to see that what we are capable of as a people.
Yes.
A lot
But
we
maybe,
can do.
maybe I'm trying to wrap my mind around why the resistance. I just don't come to understand the resistance when diaspora trying to get involved in our country. It's our country as well, and then the resistance. Why the resistance? Any reason for that? Maybe you in mind?
Yes, because they feel that the resources are too limited in the country. And if we live from here, we're going to fight over it. And unfortunately for them, we are better positioned to win. So that's what the resistance is for, mainly for government jobs.
Oh, for
You
government
know,
jobs. Okay.
you
Okay.
know. So over time, they have stigmatized the population. They have brainwashed the population to make us appear that we are the bad people. You know, because of the limited opportunity. That's why I told somebody in Cape Mount. I said, if I were a leader in Cape Mount, I would develop Cape Mount to the point where I would not even get paid from government of Liberia. Because Cape Mount has so much resources that I can help cultivate, you know. But they don't
Mm-hmm.
see it from that perspective. They just see it as an opportunity to occupy these positions so that they can get something from the little coppers from the government. So if
Okay.
they went, like for me, anyone when we building a bridge in Cape Mount, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, everybody thought I wanted to be senator. You know, everybody thought I was trying to be senator of Grand Cape Mount County, Mr. Reverend Deddeh. The hospital that is in Rawaspo today, if it were not for NACA, the National Association of Cape Mountainians in America, under our leadership, that hospital would not be in existence today. You know, but we decided to first of all get security guards because they were looting the hospital. You know, we decided to get security guards to stop the looting. Then we renovated it partially. Then we implemented the outpatient unit. That over 400 persons went there every day.
Mhm.
Up to I think 2007, because the government of Liberia was not in the capacity to run a hospital. So we ran it here. You know, so there are a lot of things that we can do. And when people
Yeah.
begin to see that, hey, these guys mean well, they impress us. You know, so there will be a resistance, but once you believe that you want to help your people, eventually the people begin to see that you're trying to help them, they will. Like for me, I decided to build some, there are mosques in Cape Mount. I just decided to help because my mother and my father was a Muslim, you know. So I decided to just electrify a couple of mosques in my county. Initially, when I started, I said, "Hey, this guy, he really ambitious to be senator for Cape Mount," you know. Or in most of the major towns in Cape Mount today, the mosques that are there, I put electricity there. You know,
Mhm.
when election come to me, they call me like Abraham come around. I said, no, I don't want to be senator. I just want to help. You know, so I really believe we can help the people. You know, we can help, and you don't have to help in huge quantity. You don't have to do major projects, but do little things that will impact the lives of the people.
Yeah, and the people have to
Okay.
cooperate as well. The people have to cooperate as well. Go ahead, Alex.
No, since we are out of town right now, we got 2 more minutes to wrap up here. Um, Mr. Massaley, through your challenges, pitfalls, and family life, leadership position, how has your faith helped you to navigate to your way for now and the future?
A whole lot, a whole lot. You know, because had it not been my faith as a Christian, I won't be talking to you today, Mr. Red. Because I came from extremely impoverished. That's why when people say the poor, I say poverty is not a limitation. You know, you just got to have that faith. Look, I was in Mount River when I was in my almost all the time. But this guy came, he was a pastor from Palm Hills. He came to preach, and I went to him. I said, "Can you please help me?" He said, "Do what?" I said, "I want you to take me back to where you coming from, so I can come and live with you and go to school because I have nobody to care for me here." You know,
Mhm.
I thought I was joking, and I consistently said that for the 3 days he was there for the revival that he decided to take me to bombing. That's how I came Morovia. That's how I came America. You know, so my faith is so solid. You know, and I'm somebody who have very strong hope, very strong faith, you know, because we have endured a lot of hardship, a lot of suffering, a lot of things, but it is our faith that has kept us where we are today, that has made us maintain where we are today. You know, and I just pray and hope that our people in Liberia will begin to turn to our faith. You know, our country was founded on Christian principle, but unfortunately today, you know, it's so sad that our people have, not all of them, because
Mhm.
are still booming Liberia, but how genuine is our faith in the country?
Yes, how genuine and any future aspiration to be a leader in our country in any
It's it's
capacity?
it's a challenge, Alex. It's really a challenge. I have struggled with that over the years, but the country is so polluted politically. You know, for me, I just want to help our people, and
Is
I
that a yes or a no? Is that a yes or a no?
right now it's a no.
It's a no.
For now, for now, okay. But we look forward. We I admire the fact that you help in the background these days, helping your friends and those that are in leadership position to be successful, making sure that things are in place, and that background role, can help a whole lot because people don't see behind the scene. But you're one of those both in your community and people that affiliate with or relate to can attest that yes, you are in the vanguard of things and you are aware of what's going on. Hopefully, our country can be a better country through self-determination that is on an individual level and work through groups like the Cape Mount Association, Basa Association, Sound Association, if they can put their little token in gradually to work on maybe smaller projects in those areas or that region that will help the local populace. And you also said family life. We have to restore the value of family life. And that, of course, is a building block for a bright and viable future of our country. Thank you, Mr. Masale, for coming
Thank
today.
you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very
All
much,
right.
sir.
Thank you. I
Thank
appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. And if you're just joining us, we are sorry you're so late because we'll be close to the program here, and we'll be back here next Saturday. We also thank you for watching this program. Please share with your friends, your family, your relatives, and even your enemy as you enjoy this Memorial Weekend. If you live in the United States or maybe in the diaspora, we would like to say blessed Memorial Weekend as you reflect. Always remember that God is in control, He is sovereign, and He has authority. And so, those who have lost their lives, we pray that the Lord will comfort you because He's the comforter of all comfort, according to Second Corinthians chapter 1. Therefore, we look upon God to give us His emotion so that we can reflect on His grace, His love, and His mercy. Thank you so much. And Reverend Deddeh, this is how we'll make it out of here today on this Saturday
Indeed,
Memorial Weekend. Any
indeed.
big thing, anything going on that you're doing this weekend?
Well, this weekend I want to spend it with my family and remember my dad was in the army as well. So whenever Memorial Day comes, I'll be thinking of my dad and my uncle. I come from a law enforcement family, so I always think about that. But I bless God for today and thank you for this brilliant presentation today. We look forward to the next Saturday and thank God for AB, who I mean, like I said, I'm not surprised about his presentation, his eloquence. We thank God for that. So to God be the glory for great things He has done and greater things He will do. Brother, God bless you.
All right. Thank you so much. And goodbye for now. Thanks for KMTV. Bye.